the realest of forms. No, nothing added, nothing spiced up, but just giving it to you in its originality. Femi Olanipekin is my name. It's good to have you on Morning Spring again, and we do pray that you have springs in your step every day of your life, and especially all through today. Welcome to Morning Spring.
Welcome to Morning Spring. Emmanuel Ujadigele is my name, and it's so nice to have you join us this morning, to have you listen to our conversations and of course contribute on all our social media pages on Facebook and Instagram at Western Spring Television and on Twitter at WSTV_NG. And you can look for us on YouTube, Western Spring Television. As you watch us, please do remember to subscribe. It's another beautiful day, Tuesday the 6th of December 2022, 19 days to Christmas.
Oh, so you're counting already?
We're counting down.
And so, I mean, also the build up to Christmas looks like this year. Is it like before?
There's no petrol. There's a lot of problems.
Oh,
yes.
Is Santa Claus stranded, sort of?
We may have to do a Zoom call with Santa Claus this year.
Those kids will protest.
Of course,
Santa Claus needs to come down from Rome in person and sit down. So we wish you the very best of this season. We'll be doing the papers shortly, but we also have some news coming out of Osun State. We'll be telling you just before we bring the interviews. Osun as a new head of service. But let's bring you the papers now. Thank you so much. So let's begin with the Guardian newspaper. The banner headline here: 7 years after, Buhari falters on 24 million jobs promise. And it has several riders. NBS fails to release unemployment rate since 2020. Ngige's claim of 7 million jobs created unlikely. NDP 2021 to 2025 to create 30 million jobs a mirage, says Oyeride. No honeymoon for who will take over from Buhari. That's according to Ojo. It will require 3 governments to clean up these administration's mess. Insecurity, COVID-19, others undermine efforts to lift 100 million out of poverty. Okay, so that's the banner headline of the Guardian newspaper, seven years after. I mean, so critics are weighing in and analyzing and giving a scorecard of the Buhari administration already. So they're holding him some of his promises. He said he's going to provide 24 million jobs, and they're saying 7 years after, we've not seen anything like that.
Yes, there is a file photo on that under that story. In 2014, Nigerian youth stripped out in large numbers to enlist for immigration jobs that did not exist.
That is famous exercise.
Yes. So it's really 7 years on. I think the problem with us, the electorate, is that we do not question certain campaign promises. If you're saying you would provide 24 million jobs, what industries are taking 24 million?
I mean, the how.
How, yes.
Yeah.
It's not just about the what now, it has to be the how. How do you intend to do it? Which sectors are you putting us into? Is it engineering? Is it banking? Do we even have enough companies to absorb that number of job seekers? So these are questions we should be asking.
And how are you creating the enabling environment to make some of those things thrive?
And NBS being unable to release unemployment rate since 2020 is just disheartening.
Yeah, disheartening. I mean, we need all of this data to plan. We need all of the data
know where we are and where we're going.
Where we are, and also to put government on its toes. Well, just below the nameplate, FG decries opposition downplaying of Buhari's achievement. And just beside that, I'm ready to lead Nigeria, Tinubu says at Chatham House. We'll get more on that on the program this morning. Tinubu was in Chatham House yesterday, and there were protests outside, 4 and against, but I think those 4 drowned the protest against, you know, and then Atiku also was in Lagos campaigning yesterday. But just the bottom strip of the paper, we have these headlines: Nigeria Morocco gas pipeline. NNPC signs MOU with Ghana, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau oil companies. INEC: elections can't be conducted in an atmosphere of violence. I think that cannot be stressed enough. Elections not our priority now as a nation, says Emmanuel. Are we saying that?
I didn't say that.
You know, okay, so Emmanuel, not Emmanuel Ujadigele. One Emmanuel. You can check to know about the Emmanuel on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. Will fire back if Atiku boys attack G5 governors again, Wike warns. So, Emmanuel, I don't understand this. He's been firing on all cylinders, but doesn't want to get hit. If you're afraid of the heat, you don't get close to the kitchen.
Yeah, people often give out what they cannot take.
Oh,
You know, and then Wike forgets that as a politician, you definitely have skeletons in your cupboard, and there are people who clean that cupboard week in, week out, who know where to hurt you.
Yeah,
they know what to say to you. And now I'm sure he's just warning them because he knows that they're also capable of hurting him.
All right, so I mean, so as we say in local parlance here, but it's not like the other party has given his mouth to the laundryman to wash.
Of course.
Yeah, and so I mean, they'll be willing to also to respond in like manner. But that starts the drama within the PDP and G5. We had some very hot takes for Dogara yesterday, but Dogara gave it back to him hot. And so the last headline on the Guardian this morning: oil theft. Navy absolves NNPC of culpability. Navy absolves NNPC of culpability. I think that's important because there was, a viral story that I think has now been debunked, disowned by the Navy, saying that the Navy accused NNPC of actually lying, something like that. I think this is just a clarification of, but that's not about the Guardian newspaper this morning, Emmanuel.
All right, Daily Trust newspaper is where we move on to this morning, Tuesday, December 6th, 2022. The banner headline says, Tinubu takes campaign to UK. Atiku woos Lagos voters. Tinubu takes campaign to UK. Atiku woos Lagos voters. How I'll tackle insecurity, energy crisis, ex-Lagos governor. Records of my background, age, education, consistent. I'll sell refineries to raise $10 billion employment fund, PDP candidate. We are ordained to end Tinubu's dynasty in Lagos, Jandor. That's the campaign season taking really, really good shape there in Lagos.
All manner of comments. I mean, so the ordination is what I like to know. Who
ordained you to do what? Who anointed you?
And then, all manner of promises, like we've said over and over again. Politicians like to campaign in prose, flowery language, all manner of promises who give children to the barren, who breed from heaven to earth, if you like. And then when it comes to governance, when they get the power now and say, no, we did not know that it is like this. That. And so that's why, like he said the other time, voters, citizens also need to be more circumspect. Not just take everything hook, line, and sinker. Also interrogate, ask questions, ask about how we are going to do this, how, well, where do you intend to get the funds? Anybody can come around and say, I'm going to do these years, but you can also go forward and ask and say, how do you intend? Can you give us specifics? Can you give us some breaking down of how this will be? I mean, so that's that about the campaign season. So as we campaign in Nigeria, so going to the UK,
to campaign. But I've never seen foreign politicians come to Nigeria to campaign.
Because there are not many diaspora guys here.
The people in the diaspora, would they even participate in the voting? Some of them don't want to come.
So there's been a campaign for diaspora voting that we do not have yet. I was at an event with the INEC chairman some days back, and he said that, well, it's a matter of the Constitution that is not INEC's problem. That if the Constitution today recommends that people in the diaspora should vote, then INEC will have no option than to vote. But, many people think of the diaspora as only those in the US, UK, and Europe. When they talk about diaspora, they've forgotten that those in Nigeria Republic also.
Benin Republic.
For those who feel they could swing the votes in their favor, they've forgotten that those in Mali, Niger Republic, and Burkina Faso, Cameroon are also diasporans. They will be shocked.
Very shocked. Moving away from Tinubu now, below that banner headline, bandits kill 3 policemen, others in Sokoto. Another day, another set of killings in Sokoto. Protect our facilities. INEC begs Nigerians. 4 nabbed as APC PDP clash over billboards in Kwara. Sad that is still happening at this point in our campaign and electioneering process. Away from that story, up above the banner headline, below the nameplate, federal government introduces menial studies, others to varsities curriculum. Quite interesting to see there. Menial studies, others to varsities curriculum. Passengers' apathy as Kaduna-Abuja train service resumes. Federal government orders redeployment of prison officers who cannot shoot to kill. Interesting. That's on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper.
Or they cannot shoot to kill, or they asked to shoot 7 prisoners, or is it that they cannot shoot at the shooting range where they are being trained?
We'll find more on that.
Yeah.
I would love to read that story.
Please.
Because prison officers shouldn't be shooting to kill.
Except those in the armed wing.
Yes.
The armed guards, of the correctional centers.
Yes.
Yes. But about the passengers' apathy at Kaduna-Abuja train, I think it is expected.
Of course.
It'll take some time before
people
confidence is restored. Yes, and trust, and people. Some people just lie low for a couple of weeks and see how things are. But I feel that with increased security, things should be better there. But you never know. Those guys are dead devil,
Because nobody saw much.
Yeah,
coming.
They attacked a moving train, moving at speed, about 100, I don't know how many miles per hour that train does, but it takes some gut, some daredevil, I don't know the words to use. I do hope that we're just able to arrest those guys and, put them in jail where they belong.
Yes, that's all. Before we leave the Daily Trust newspaper, a quick reminder that 11 schoolgirls of Federal Government College Benin area are still in captivity, 539 days now. One student of Bethel Baptist High School, Kujama, 511 days. Now, it seems everybody has just accepted Leah Sharibu's fate. And
nobody talks about her anymore, and it's so sad. It's so sad. We do hope that all of them in captivity, those of the Bethel High School, those of the FGC Benin Yauri, and others that we do not even know about, that have become sort of footnotes in this abduction series. We do hope that they are all released and freed to be reunited with their families, and that they do heal. That's even more important, because after such episodes, after such incidents in their life, some people do not heal. It takes time. Some fall into depression, some have mental issues. Some, their orientation is changed for life. You need psychological help, evaluation to get them back into their normal shape. We do hope things get better. But let's move. That'll be all for the Daily Trust, right, Emmanuel?
Yes, that's all for
so let's get to the Punch newspaper now. The banner headline is about economy. Naira depreciation adds 9 trillion naira to foreign debt burden. With a rider as local currency weakens by 53%. External debt rises by 288%. Nigeria needs a strong, productive economy, say economists.
There's a need to move from consumption to production.
You can't stress that enough.
There is, because when you consume and consume and consume, one day you run out of what to consume if you cannot produce to replace it. But it's very sad news that our external debt has risen by 288%. This is debt that will impact the Commonwealth, as it were, of unborn generations. And then our local currency weakening by 53% is just nasty.
And because we import most of the things we do, so the effect of the weakening of the currency is felt to the last person on the street.
Yes.
Because if you have a stronger naira, the cost of some of these things would have been cheaper. Because I remember interviewing some economists at a point that the pounds to the naira was like 1,000, and the alarm bells were ringing everywhere. People worried about the depreciation of the naira before it firmed up again. They were saying, and some people were saying, so what's my concern with the dollar? What happens to the dollar? And so the economist was telling me that for everyone, wherever you are, here in Nigeria, the dollar affects you directly. So if the naira crashes against the dollar, you also pay for it one way or the other. But it's hard. It's hard. And so it's adding to our foreign debt burden. It affects and impact. But it's also partly what's responsible for the fuel scarcity.
Yes.
I remember talking to some of the petrol dealers, the petrol marketers, and I was told that because the cost of dollars risen, the naira has fallen, it has had an effect on their purchasing power, and the fact that what they bring in now, the dynamics have just changed, and they need to shift these also down to us who are the end user. But that's that about that banner headline on the Punch newspaper. Above the nameplate, it's about Tinubu and Atiku. Tinubu takes campaign to UK. Atiku train storms Lagos with the riders. Atiku appeals to Lagos voters. Tinubu accuses opponents of playing dirty politics. And just beside the name, oh, you want to say something about that?
Oh, well, it's a case of Kettle calling Pot black. They all play dirty politics.
Who is Kettle? Who is Pot?
Well, they will share the appellation between themselves. You know, they all do politics of name calling. You know,
they all play dirty politics.
So it's really not in one candidate's place to accuse the other.
So sometimes, if the candidates themselves do not play the dirty politics, their rage, their supporters,
and I feel it's also incumbent on them to call those people to order. Yeah. There's an offense. There's something committed by permission.
Yeah.
You know that you're someone directly under you is doing something. It behoves on you to correct that person, stop them, because when they will be punished, they will not be punished as a separate entity. Yeah. They will be seen as an extension of you. So they won't say some random supporters. They'll say Atiku supporters. They'll say Tinubu supporters, which presupposes that you are in the know. And that's why Peter Obi at some point had to come out and say, please stop insulting other candidates. And I think some other candidates have said that don't insult anybody. Let your campaigns be issue-based.
So for that Peter Obi, for context now, for Peter Obi's situation, how well has the supporters,
well, to an extent, because I monitor their trends of all the candidates, they only respond when tackled.
Because I've had people say you don't want to get into the bad books of obedience.
Yeah, yes, the vitriol, they just wait for you to come. So when you come, they give you back.
Some very nasty dealing. Some people have.
It's because most of these supporters are Gen Z. And Gen Z rarely have a filter on their mouths and on their fingers.
I see.
Once they take to their phones, it's as it is on the. Older people will still want to censor some of the things, but these young people just go all the way.
All right, okay. So I do hope they get that filter, but I've also seen even millennials and even baby boomers
without
filters also doing these things. Just beside the nameplate, the Punch newspaper, FG not ready to fund varsities. ASU. Why do I have a sense or have a feeling that ASU is just building up momentum?
Yes, they're trying to beat the federal government and then gather public sympathy and then go on strike.
Then go on strike again because they keep saying we are not comfortable with what the federal government is doing, and you trust them not to let go of the months, the salaries owed them.
Yes.
And I think they're also patiently waiting for the Supreme Court. There's a case at the Supreme Court appealing, what that order, and then I think they said they weren't going to go on strike, but they would do more of protest.
Yes.
I just have a feeling that they're just building up momentum to a level where they will now say, okay, we are going, and then they will bring you. You said the other time
Mother
they said
of all strikes,
or what class?
What class?
Or what? Some very disturbing issues here in Nigeria. Well, let's get some headline. The main picture on the Punch newspaper is about the Kaduna train service, and you could see people coming out and some officials of the NRC talking about the Nigeria Railway Corporation also helping passengers with luggages into the train. And like one of the headlines you took in one of the other papers the other time, you won't see much crowd here because that's also what the Punch is saying. Abuja Kaduna train records low passenger turnout. It's expected. We do hope that confidence is restored and people are able to patronize the train service for that route again. Nigeria projects 1.8 million barrels production May 2023. That's on page 22. There was a time we were producing about 2 million barrels a day, but here we are. Things have nosedived because of oil theft, because of some vandalism and some other challenges. We are hoping to rise back to 1.8 million barrels.
And the Minister of Petroleum is the president.
Yeah, he's the president. He's working assiduously to ensure before the end of his tenure we get to this level again. Nigerians with NIN rise to 92 million. That's some good news. We need a data bank to do a lot of things, to plan, to even to detect crime, to manage crime and everything.
Yes, there's an ease that comes with having that database. About last week or so, I went to purchase a MiFi, this pocket MiFi from one service provider. And when I was to register the SIM card, they asked for my NIN. I gave it to them, and that was all. The only other thing I did was to take the photograph. So there was no need to fill any forms, no need
because
to...
they had access to your NIN, so it could have been imputed.
Imported the data, and that was all. I just took the photos, and that's how it should be. There should be a synchronized data bank whereby when you go somewhere and you put your fingerprint or even your face, all of your records show, and that's the way to go.
So we do hope that more and more Nigerians get down with NIN, register with NIN, and we hope that it's also managed well, such that we can integrate with the other different data banks.
Yes.
We talked about this last week, about the fact that
SMEs were finding it difficult.
Yes, and the fact that you do biometrics at every other turn with the FRSC, with the FIRS, with the NIMC for NIN, at a passport office
yes.
for voter registration with INEC, almost every other government agency. So we can now synchronize and have a central data bank and a database that all of these agencies can access, and it helps. It manages Nigerians better. That's what many of these Western countries do. But the moment you step in, you have an NIN, you have a BRP, you have all of those things that help to manage, to plan for you in terms of health, even in terms of area. You know, so there are areas in Nigeria where the last time they got a transformer was almost 20 years ago. So since that time, new houses, especially the new developing areas. But if you have a proper planning, you know that in 10 years' time, the population of these areas would have, and then so we need to give them another transformer. This is what planning and numbers and data would do for us. The last deadline from the Punch newspaper this morning is about oil theft. Navy denies blaming NNPCL. We talked about that earlier on. Now that's for the Punch newspaper.
And very quickly, we'll run through the Nation newspaper this morning. The banner headline says, Tinubu points way forward on power, security, others. Chatham House host APC candidate El-Rufai Wale Edun Gbadabia Mila Ayade Alaki Better do speak, and you can see some quotes from what the APC candidate said at Chatham House during his interview. Below that, Wiki attacks Dogara for backing Atiku. Ex-speaker fires back. Ex-VP can't see Buhari's achievements, says government. 130 billion naira Sukuk loan to fix federal roads. That's just below the banner headline and beside the picture of Tinubu at Chatham House. And below the Nation newspaper at the very bottom, Ekiti Governor Oyebanji hails Supreme Court verdict on his election, as on page 27. And just below the nameplate too, Kogi Assembly candidate charged with hacking into bank system. Again, a political aspirant, a political candidate with some sort of criminal, what's it called now? Criminal cases, you know, hacking into a bank system. Just recently we heard that Dakwa Abiodun, governor of Ogun State, governor of Ogun State's aide, was convicted in the U.S.
Yeah, we didn't verify.
Yes, and now we have someone who's aspiring to the House of Assembly, where laws are made, have been discharges.
Yeah, so I think it boils down to the fact that most of the people who are moving into politics, some are trying to do money laundering because our political system is very expensive. So you rarely find those, you do not, I mean, sometimes those with genuine funds who worked hard to make their money may not find it good enough to just go into the messy political system and fritter away their money and you know, that way. So we have an influx of more and more people with questionable characters, people with questionable sources of income, some who are fraudsters, some who've engaged in criminal activities because it's easy money for them. So it's also easy for them to spend. You know, someone was doing an analysis and saying people that he felt he knew had some things with perhaps internet fraud, participated at the primaries level of many of the parties at the last election, the last general elections. And saying, and that's because they've saying that if you have the money, you can bamboozle your way, you know, to get a ticket of the party. And so if it's going to be cash for cash, then we can also bring it here. So perhaps that's why we're seeing more and more of such people coming into the
And
system.
the offices they are aspiring to are very critical
sensitive
offices. Yes.
Yeah.
It's really sad. Something has to be done to sanitize the system. Above the nameplate, Atiku, I will sell off refineries to raise $10 billion for SMEs. That's on page 3 of the Nation newspaper. Oil theft, we did not indict NNPCL, says Navy, and that's on page 28. And we have the last 2 headlines there. Why I deserve re-election by Governor Sanwo-Olu, page 23, and Akeredolu presents 272.73 billion naira budget, as on page 27. Those are the headlines we have on the Nation newspaper this morning. I'm eager to see what Atiku has to do. The way he's planning to sell off to raise $10 billion. Now, probably the problem isn't even with the selling off, say. The problem is with the aftermath of the selling off.
So it depends on who you ask. There are those who feel that government has no business in business and should rather yield, just hands off running enterprises. And for some, it's a capitalist orientation, and they believe that private hands will manage the businesses better and be more efficient and to be able to deliver those services. But some are also of the opinion that there should be some level of government involvement. But whichever one, it's about running those government agencies, imagine the refineries, as I say, it's a big drain on government resources. So if selling it to private hands, we will make profit and run it efficiently such that we're able to refine our crude here instead of importing it. So be it for me. That's my opinion, really.
Well, that's interesting to see. Beyond the Nation newspaper, those are the headlines. But let's go back to what the APC candidate said in the UK. We must recalibrate domestic policy to revamp the foundation on which our quest to pursue human security rests. But our focus will be on using technology and expertise to accelerate development to achieve transformation in the agriculture value chain. And the last quote says, we have privatized power distribution and generation to a certain degree. What we need to do is improve the enabling environment.
All right. Well, so we wish them all the best of luck, but that will be all about the papers. We'll let you know that Osun has a new head of service. So a statement late last night, I think that's some minutes to 11 or even to 12 yesterday, that the governor's spokesman issued a statement. The governor of Osun State, Ademola Adeleke, approved the appointment of Samuel Ayonleye Aino as the new head of service. So Samuel Ayonleye Aino is the new head of service. A press statement by Olawale Rashid, spokesperson to Governor Adeleke, yesterday said the swearing in of the new head of service will be held at 10 a.m. today. The new head of service, the statement revealed, is a product of the University of Ibadan, where he obtained his BSc in Geography in 1987 and MSc degree in Geography in 1990. Succeeding Dr. Festus Oyebade Ologboyega was appointed head of service by the administration of Rauf Aregbesola, and he also served the administration of Adegboyega Oyetola. I know that statement adds was appointed a permanent secretary in Osun State in 2012 and was deployed to the Ministry of Finance, Economic and Budget Planning, where he served till 2013. Until his appointment, he was the permanent secretary in charge of the Ministry of Human Resources and Capacity Building and the Public Service Office in the Office of the Head of Service of the state. Okay, so it's a new era, a new governor, a new head of service as well. We'll get to see many other new appointments in the coming days and weeks ahead. So workers, you know your new head of service, the #1 worker in the state, Samuel Ayonleye Aino.
Yes,
congratulations to him.
Congratulations to him. I think that's the 4th appointment Governor Adeleke will be making after his chief of staff,
the SSG,
and spokesperson, but now the head of service. He may speak to the fact that part of his campaign promises is hinged on improved civil service. So taking the step to, announce this new person is actually very good. And let me add to that. Yesterday he was at the House of Assembly, and he said that he intends to continue some of the projects that were started by the previous administration. That's that of the Oyetola.
That's good to know.
And that's really good for politics and for the polity. You know, he said rather than abandon them and, you know, start fresh ones, leave those ones halfway, haven't consumed government funds. I think it's just important that we continue for the benefit of the people. So making this appointment is also, I want to believe, for the benefit of the people.
And it's also good that some level of rapprochement now between the governor and the legislatures. You know, there are some opposing views when the governor came in as regards some decisions and on the local governments and what have you. But it's good. The speaker went to visit the governor. The governor now is going to visit the lawmakers. It's good. And we should have some level of cordiality, though not subservience, you know, between the two. And the House of Assembly should still hold the executive responsible and hold them to account where necessary. But it's good that we have a cordiality because attention is on them because they have, the House is populated by members of the opposition, and the governor is of a different breed. I mean, that's why this seems to be different in a way. But that's it about the papers this morning. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll bring in our guest. We'll be focusing on what happened at the Chatham House yesterday in London.
Evelyn Ohiole, King Eve. How are you today?
I'm good, I'm fine, I'm alive.
I really feel like she's not giving the right answer to the question. When one asks you, how are you? And you said, you're saying, I'm alive. It's very annoying, seriously. How are you? I'm fine. I feel I'm fine will be the right answer instead of I'm alive. Not that I asked you if you're dead before.
Go and check all these 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, everybody, they are extraordinarily sexually active.
I feel is being unnecessarily hyper when it comes to the issue of sex, because we talk about other topics and he feels so reserved. He really doesn't have anything much to say when it comes to other stuff. But when it's the issue of sex, I believe he's being unnecessarily hyper. That's when I have to pick an issue with him. I mean, it's just being unnecessarily there when we're talking about sex. Just like a child, his mom just got him his favorite chocolate or ice cream, very happy, doing as though if he doesn't have sex for a day, he's going to die.
When it comes to finance, women also support their husbands financially. You need me emotionally. You need me spiritually.
Cassie is an amazing person, but I hate the too much attachment to that gender. I need you spiritually, I need you mentally. I can get these things anywhere with money. If you go by the topic was, who does marriage favors the most? You know how many jobless women they marry every Saturday? They are saying it favors you, favor. Are they vague so?
Growing up, when I was in the world, we've heard of
Right, you know.
Well, MC Too Much said, he likes saying when I was in the world. And the last time I checked, well, it looks a bit innocent, facially, but deep down, is actually out of this world. We're all in the world now. As long as you're alive, you're in the world. So, MC Too Much, I beg when you talk about that. I don't want to hear that. Next time you talk, I kiss my words.
I think they have a problem with you saying ladies are champion, and that's the problem. Always trying to attach too much importance to that gender.
It's giving insecurity, it's giving low self-esteem, it's giving a blatant display of egoism. Because at the end of the day, a man who is secured in his worth, a man who is confident of who he is, will not really be disturbed as to whether women are being referred to as champions or not. I mean, at the end of the day, Joseph's a really great guy, but whether he likes it or not, women are champions.
Jáde mọ̀rìnwó la kọ́kọ́ rí ọwọ́ gẹ́gẹ́ ní síwájú ìjó ẹsẹ̀ katakata ní síwájú rìn bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti ń gbúrò wa a tún ti dé náà nù ẹ ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò Owambe Unlimited pẹ̀lú èmi ọmọ yín olólùfẹ́ yín ọ̀rẹ́ yín Suliat tẹ́túmọ̀ sí Morenikeji. Ẹ lè pè mí ní Susu tó bá wẹ̀ lómi a sọ pé ìyálòde àríyá gbogbo orúkọ tẹ́ ẹ bá pè mí kò sí èyí tí mi ò ní jẹ yín. Ẹ farabalẹ̀ kẹ́ ẹ máa gbádùn ètò Owambe Unlimited lórí ìkànnì Western Spring Television ní ìkànnì 190. Ibẹ̀ ni Owambe Unlimited ń bọ̀ wá ẹ fàpùrẹ̀ tẹ̀dí kẹ́ ẹ máa gbádùn ètò àríyá wa.
Wọ́n sọ fún yín pé ẹ máa wo Owambe Unlimited lórí Western Spring Television.
Èdè Yorùbá jẹ́ ọ̀kan lára àwọn èdè tí wọ́n ń sọ ní agbègbè Niger Congo. Èdè Yorùbá gbajúgbajà ní àwọn orílẹ̀-èdè tó ń bẹ ní ẹkùn ìwọ̀ oòrùn ilẹ̀ adúláwọ̀. Ó kéré tán, àwọn ènìyàn bíi mílíọ̀nù 14 ló ń sọ èdè Yorùbá lónìí. Ètò akọ́mọlédè ló ń dé sójú ìwòran yín láti iléeṣẹ́ móhùnmáwòrán WSTV ìkànnì 150 channel 190 lórí StarTimes. Folúṣọ́ Ayaolúwagbémiga, ìyá ìjọ pèdèpèdè, ìyá akọ́mọlédè ló kọ tèmi. Yorùbá dùn púpọ̀, Yorùbá ò lè kú, Yorùbá ò lè parun. Tiwa làṣà, tiwa lèdè, tiwa nìṣẹ̀ṣe akọ́mọlédè.
Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West. And Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girl got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be shown on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
How would you like a TV station that breaks the barriers of your TV screen? A TV station that brings infotainment to your forefront, breaking the conceptual fourth wall. Giving you television that is personal to you and your everyday life. Indigenous broadcasting for every man, cutting across the shackles of age, class, and language. With the best of equipment in digitized broadcasting. At Western Spring Television, your television experience has never been this magical.
We bring you the best in news and programs, breaking news to you as it drops from where it drops. Talk shows that keep you glued to your seats, sports programs not void of in-depth analysis, entertainment programs cutting across all ages, political analysis with all its accompanying controversies, social responsibility because we care. Western Nigeria gave us our first feel of television. Western Spring Television is taking us to the next level. Thank you so much for staying with us and welcome back. You're tuning to Morning Spring and it's reaching you from Western Spring Television, where we say is as it is. You can check us out on Star Times channel 190, that's the DTT platform. You can also watch us on YouTube Live at Western Spring Television. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel when you check us out there. On our other social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook is at Western Spring Television. And also at Twitter, you can check us out at WSTV_NG. We have our guest joining us via Zoom this morning. Prince Ademola Oyedo, who is a legal practitioner. He's based in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. He's a member of the Voices for Change of Asiwaju Support Group, and is an associate of the presidential candidate of the APC. Joins us live this morning from Abuja. Thank you so much for joining us on Morning Spring, Prince Ademola Oyedo.
It's my pleasure, sir. Good morning.
Oh, all right. So thank you so much for joining us, Prince Ademola Oyedo.
You are welcome, sir. Western Spring Television. It's my pleasure to be here.
Let's look at, do we call it performance now, or the appearance of the presidential candidate of the APC yesterday at the Chatham House? A lot's been said about him not attending debates at town halls and all of that. But yesterday was in Chatham House, and even at that, there was still some people saying he was dodging questions and he was asking his aides to respond to those questions. But tell me, what you make of the general performance or overview of Asiwaju's appearance at the Chatham House yesterday?
Honestly speaking, the performance of the candidate of All Progressive Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, at Chatham House yesterday was very, very impressive. It was very, very fantastic. And in fact, he has been able to convince some doubting Thomases as to his performance, as to his ability, as to his agility, as to his clear mind, and as to his competence. He was able to convince a lot of his detractors yesterday. The general performance, the topic of discussion in Chatham House was actually based on the national security, economic policy, and foreign policy. And the speech he gave was very, very lucid. The speech he gave was very, very lucid, and it just hit the nail on the head. And anybody who watched it will definitely know that his performance was very, very outstanding, very, very outstanding. And he was able to marshal his points without any blemish. So overall, I can give him 100%. 100%, I say. As to the issue of assigning questions to my members of Incentorage to the Chatham House, you will have seen some cut or edited videos of that scene where he was asked some series of questions, about 4 questions or thereabout. And then he assigned those questions to Dele Alake, Nasir El-Rufai, and Professor Ben Ayade. And the people who are cutting and distributing such videos, they intentionally and mischievously leave out the intro to that decision to assign questions to his team members. He said, as a leader and as a team player, I'm not alone. And to demonstrate that to you, that I'm a team leader, I will not be the one alone. I have not come here alone. I will not be the one alone to answer these questions. He said, to demonstrate my leadership quality, I'm assigning the first question to Dele Alake, second question to Nasir El-Rufai, and the third question to Professor Ben Ayade. The personal question that relates to him personally as to his background, to his educational achievements, his professional experience in private sector, he handled that question that relates to him personally. But the questions he assigned to his team members, I will call, the question he assigned to his team members are questions that relate to policies that the party own, the manifesto, the document of Renew Hope. Definitely when he becomes the president, it's not going to be a one-man show. He's going to work with, as a team with some people. And these are the people he's going to work with. So to me, when they have looked forward to maybe verbal omissions, phonetic omissions, or any error that they could hold on to, they didn't see any. They want to make an issue out of that? No. That is very, very childish. And we disregard them. We focus on the issues. They should stop, as he advised them yesterday, they should stop character assassinations. They should focus on issues that borders on our past, present, and the future. And that is what Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his team, that's what they are focusing on. And that's what we are advising other people who have not seen the truth to follow the man who knows the road. Bola Ahmed knows the road. They should all follow him. So that is that about those who are saying he assigned questions. It's a teamwork. It's not going to be a one-man show. It's not a dictator. It's a leader of men. He has the governor of Lagos State, a relatively young man, to stand up and introduce him as the person who is driving the 5th largest economy in Africa, Lagos State, based on his own personal legacy. So if he had somebody like that to speak on his behalf or to demonstrate competence, not only through him, but through his team members, I don't think that is out of place. They don't have anything to say. They are just blabbing. They are just doing the bala blue.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Praise Oyedoku. So, I mean, Bola Tinubu was in Chatham House. A lot has been said about why he is avoiding attending debates and town halls back home here in Nigeria. And he finds it convenient. I mean, remember that this was also said about the president at some point, that he likes to grant interviews to the foreign media and does not sort of regard Nigerians, talk to them frequently here. You know, why is it that Bola Tinubu has refused to attend any debate, any of the debate at town halls, the last of which was the Arise Television, who was severally invited to, but then he went to the UK to speak to a foreign audience, well, made up of Nigerians also, at the Chatham House. How do you respond to that?
Honestly, I think I need to clear this now. There are many contestants contesting for this election. The foremost among them is this, my principal, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And he belongs to a political party, that is the All Progressive Congress. And when he set out to contest for the position of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to come out on top of the people who contested the primaries with him, he had his strategies, which he followed to the letter, and he came on top and became the candidate of the party. And having emerged the candidate of that party, he also has his own strategy, campaign plans on how we go about it to win in his election. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been consulting strategically before the embargo was lifted on the public campaign. As in the public campaign started, you will agree with me, he has been meeting various stakeholders. He has met the farmers. He has organized many town hall meetings by himself. And he has been invited to some town hall meetings. But see, the particular issue of Arise Television, I make bold to say, he has the choice to attend or not. And he should not be blackmailed if he refuses to attend the Arise TV television.
You
Arise Television...
I'm sorry, Prince. You're saying it's a blackmail. You're saying Arise is trying to blackmail him to attend their debate.
There was a press release from Tinubu's camp that says, don't blackmail me with your invitation. I'm not attending. That press release is in circulation. You cannot be railroaded into an environment where the organization or through their agent or presenters or newscasters have expressed obvious hate of your personality. Mr. Hosseini Rufai of Arise TV has at various occasions made direct attacks on the personality. He always will go out, he goes out of journalistic work, which balances news. He has always gone out to directly attack the personality of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So if you are in Bola Ahmed Tinubu's shoe, and the management of that entity has never publicly cautioned him, if you are in the shoes of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will you subject yourself to such an organization to be publicly ridiculed when they have expressed a conspicuous intention to ridicule you? So if he has decided to, apart from Arise Television, do you know of any other news agency that has invited Tinubu and he refused to go?
So several. So Channels Television has done, with NTA has also done, even Kadaria Ahmed, with the series she's doing also. I mean, that seems to be even a concern for many, that it appears that Bola Tinubu is avoiding debates and town halls.
He is not avoiding debate. He is sticking to his campaign plans. And don't you think he has the right to do that? And the people who feel offended that he has not attended Arise TV or he has not attended Channels TV, because of that, we don't know what he wants to do, and then I'm not going to vote for him. Don't they have that choice too? The multitude that are supporting Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we are all pleased with his campaign strategies of talking to people directly. And he should not be crucified for that.
So yes, what more direct way can we have other than debates that you speak to millions of Nigerians at the same time? Or maybe some of these town halls, you think those are not as direct as the word
television. Western Spring Television, you have your viewers base. Arise TV televisions, they have their own viewers base. And the Channels TV and every other TV station has their own viewers' strength. At the same time, open campaign state by state reaches people more than going to a studio. Meeting the businessmen in Lagos, meeting the farmers in Jos, meeting strategic people, the business people in Kano, addressing the special people of Niger Delta at Baramatu Kingdom, and so on and so forth. Is he sleeping? He has been doing this. Other candidates are not doing it. So if that is his own strategy, what is the brouhaha all about?
All right, Prince.
He's reaching millions of people day in, day out. Now it's in Chatham House.
All right, Prince Oyedeokun.
Has it not been heard loud and clear?
Okay.
So if that is a strategy of winning, so be it.
Okay, Prince Oyedeokun, I want to take you up on some of the things that your candidate said yesterday at the Chatham House. He said that he was going to give loans to students in various institutions if elected president. This has probably not been the case in the past administration, considering Nigeria's dire situation in terms of finance and economy. How does your principal intend to, deliver on this promise?
Well, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is known to be an habitual promise keeper. He is the person who says it and does it. He has come out with his own plan, which is embedded in his program of action called Renewed Hope. That declaration he made in Chatham House yesterday is not just new. It is included in that document, Renewed Hope. And that book or that manifesto clearly set out how he's going to do it. He did not only promise to be giving students loan, which I know he's going to do, he also promised to reform Alimanjiri educational system. It's going to be all-inclusive. He also promised with regard to education that they are going to tamper with the curriculum. They are going to make broadband education. The students will be able to write technology language of their own. You think somebody will just stand up extemporaneously and be saying those things when he has no plan to deliver them? Your question definitely actually borders on where to get the resources to get that done. Sir, I make bold to say that Asiwaju is known as a wealth creator. You remember, he met Lagos. Lagos had all the potentials to be the leading economy in Africa, even to be richer than the federal government of Nigeria. Lagos has that potential. As at the time Asiwaju got to Lagos as the governor of that state in 1999, the Lagos state government was generating only 600 million naira per annum, not up to $1 billion. As at today, the monthly revenue of Lagos state stands a little bit above 50 billion naira monthly. So we have not tapped a lot of resources that Nigeria has. We have not maximized our natural resources on the sea, on the land, mineral resources, and so on and so forth. Don't forget, we just discovered oils in some areas in the northern part of Nigeria. So Asiwaju, being a financial wizard that he is, I have no fear that he will be able to deliver on all his promises because he can create wealth, he can create money, and he can make people rich. He did not only promise student loans to students, he did not only promise reforming Alimanjiri education, he also promised credit, availability of credit to buy houses, to buy cars. If you want to buy a car of 4 million naira, you don't need to pay cash. That is what is obtainable in all other countries of the world. Why can't Nigeria do it? We can do it. And Asiwaju will lay that foundation. You remember, he has a number of the first. He introduced the Treasury single account. It was never in contemplation of anybody because he's ahead of his peers. So as to why and how, as to how and where Asiwaju will generate funds to finance his manifesto, I know he's out to immortalize himself by delivering on his campaign promises. He's going to immortalize himself by being the father of the modern Nigeria. I know he's going to prove his detractor wrong by ensuring that under his administration, Nigeria gets better than he makes it. So don't be afraid. He's a wealth creator. He's going to have finances to handle all those.
All right. So another part of his speech yesterday was him talking about his relationship, how he's going to form a relationship with ECOWAS. And he said, and I quote, that when he becomes president, he would continue to provide quality leadership to the sub-region to ensure democratic ideals are formed in nations of the ECOWAS region. In this year alone, there have been multiple coups and military takeovers in some of these ECOWAS countries. Does your principal intend to bring about the return of democracy to these countries, seeing the pivotal role that Nigeria plays in the ECOWAS community? And if so, how does he, we're particularly about the how now, how does he intend to do that, seeing as mediation efforts over time have failed?
See, when Tinubu started talking about ECOWAS, what preceded the mentioning of ECOWAS and regional integration is the strategic position of Nigeria in the global community and the significance of 2023 general election. Tinubu yesterday boasted that Nigeria, about 25 years ago now, has returned to the uninterrupted democracy. He stated that that is worth entrenching and it is worth celebrating. He now went ahead and said 2023 election is significant, given the circumstance that is currently prevailing in ECOWAS sub-region, where we are having a couple of military return back to power. that if Nigeria fails to get it wrong in 2023, it has a very bad negative implication, not only to the sub-region, but to the democracy as large. And he said he has spent most of his years as a politician in opposition. He is all out. He is all out to further entrench democratic system, and that the success of 2023 election is akin to entrenching democracy in West Africa sub-region. He did promise, if you remember, that Nigeria under him will continue to play the role of a big brother in West Africa. So as such, as a big brother in West Africa, as a principal actor within the ECOWAS, definitely Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to influence and ensure the return of democracy to those countries that are affected in the West Africa sub-region within the ECOWAS family, because the role of Nigeria in ECOWAS cannot be underestimated. And if Tinubu has promised that, definitely he's going to do it. He's going to do it. You know, in terms of financial contribution, Nigeria plays a lot of role in ECOWAS, in strategic position, in ECOMOG, and every other aspect. Nigeria is influential. So if you have a government in Nigeria, a president that has a purposeful intention to achieve such, he's going to do it. All he has to do to achieving it is by paying serious attention to it. I'm sorry, I'm not saying that President Muhammadu Buhari is not paying attention, but I've not seen any decisive step on the part of the current president under the same party. But if Tinubu is saying, when I come, I'm going to do this, definitely he's going to focus on that, because the peace in West Africa is peace in Nigeria. And peace in Nigeria will radiate all over the world.
All right. Yeah, your principal also touched on this issue of security. He promised to tackle the situation the country is facing heads-on. In his words, the challenges which have manifested themselves with regard to our national and regional development and security trajectories are very well known to all of us here. Radical extremist violence, he went on to list all of those things. And he said to respond meaningfully to the discontent and to address the many dislocations arising from them, we must begin by reminding ourselves of that old dictum: foreign policy is but a continuation of domestic policy. As a first step, we must recalibrate domestic policy in order to revamp the foundation on which our quest to pursue human security rests. End of quote. What domestic policies will Asiwaju Tinubu be reviewing and revamping?
Well, when he was talking about security before he delved into the regional threats and insecurity in some our neighbors, you remember, when he started by saying that our foreign policy, our security is tied to our economic prosperity. Then he went on to say security included food security and the physical security, territorial integrity. He said all those ones. You remember, he said Nigeria shares boundary with 4 African countries, and we all have regional and cultural affinities. Of course, Nigeria and Togo, Nigeria and Benin, Nigeria and Niger, Nigeria and Cameroon, and Nigeria. So, having said all that, the internal policy he is referring to, he said he's going to build capacity of security agencies. He said he's going to recruit more, he's going to build capacity, he's going to give them training. So if you don't do that internally, please, how do you participate in the regional efforts in ensuring security? So to my understanding, the internal policy is referring to is building the capacity, the recruitment and the training and so on and so forth, and providing necessary equipment for our military men. And of course, discipline.
Okay,
of course,
so,
discipline. Because if you give them all the equipment they need, all the training they need, if they don't have professional discipline, you have not done nothing, because there can be sabotage.
All right. So, you know, while all of these, with all of these and the explanations they've given us, good, but the opposition, PDP, seems not impressed by Tinubu's outing yesterday at the Chatham House. The PDP campaign council.
We expect them to be jubilating.
Yeah, I mean, so the spokesman, Kola Ologbode, described the outing as a pathetic display of vacuity And they said that he failed to perform the simplest of tasks required of a person desiring to lead the world's largest black nation. And they said he earlier showboated with a scripted speech, went blank on the world stage in a tragic display of emptiness and inability to personally address questions that were put to him on economy, security, and other challenges facing a nation, end of quote.
My brother, that is coming from Ologbondiyan, right?
Yes.
What do you expect? That is subjective. That is subjective. You don't expect the opposition to Bola Ahmed Tinubu to go to town drumming that he has succeeded. So it is natural that they go out and downplay the success that has already been achieved by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You understand? It's subjective and should not be taken serious because it's not coming from an unbiased mind. It's coming from a tainted soul, somebody who's actually devastated at the success of Asiwaju's outing in Chatham House yesterday, the 5th of December, 2022. Asiwaju's performance yesterday was impressive. As an individual, I'm very, very proud of him. A lot of Nigerians have. Some detractors got converted yesterday to be party-fied. So whatever PDP says, please let that one go to the dustbin. I watched a comedy clip of one of our comic character within the PDP, Dino Melaye. He was practically showing off his comedy skit, honestly, and he really needs to go professional because I felt amused too when I watched his video where he was ridiculing the outing. He was laughing heartily and he was using a lot of street languages, and I found those very, very interesting. So any criticism coming from the opposition, we don't take it serious because it's not coming from an objective perspective.
Well, you've tried to explain why Asiwaju asked some of his aides and those who were accompanying with the entourage to respond to those questions the other time.
And it's a team player. He's a very good team leader.
Okay, so but those who are saying...
It's not all about him. You see, excuse me, sir.
Yes.
It's not all about Asiwaju. It's about the APC now and the team Asiwaju. When he becomes the president, he's not going to be a one-man show. He's going to work with a team. And these are the characters he's going to work with. They didn't go there with him as an adornment. They didn't go there as a spare tire. They went there as a team. And then after I gave his speech, questions were asked, said, okay, to demonstrate that I'm a good leader, that I work as a team with my people, I'm not going to take all the questions alone. I want it to be participatory. It's not going to be autocratic. So, and honestly, I was touched that what a leader this is. Wow. You remember? Yeah. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, in one of Asiwaju's birthday, he'd say that this man is a team player. He makes sure that he listens to all opinion and he doesn't discard any. If he's not going to use your opinion, he will let you know why and see reasons. That he sees reasons with his follower. So that he went to a place with a lot of people for a purpose. They jointly went for a purpose and he allowed them to participate in the proceeding. That's a very good one. That's a very good one.
Well, so you know, for those who
apart from that issue that he allowed his entourage to participate, what other thing did they say was wrong with the outing or with the speech? They have nothing to say. So it's because they have nothing to hold on to, and that is why they want to make an issue out of that one.
So you're saying that those who criticize and say because of his past gaps and, you know, those who have accused him of incoherence in previous times, and you yourself made reference to one Balabulu Balabla the other time, you know, when you came in earlier today, and they said some of those things have called to questions the readiness, preparedness, or the mental alertness of Asiwaju, and that's why some
you don't know the meaning of Balabulu, Mr. Femi. Honestly, that wasn't a mistake. That wasn't a mistake.
Oh, okay.
Balabulu is a word that has no meaning. So a town hall is different from their Balabulu, from their cacophony. So what they are doing is actually Balabulu.
I'm interested in that Balabulu, Prince. So you is it?
See, about making Gafe or making
no, what exactly was that? What you wanted to say? Actually,
everybody does it. You have seen where Dino Melaye wanted to say vote for PDP, and he went ahead and said vote for APC. Haven't you seen that?
So are you admitting that?
Haven't you seen where Dati, vice presidential candidate of Labour Party, said that we sympathize with Peter Obi, but we are not going to hold that against him? He meant to say Bola Tinubu. Does he have dementia too?
So, okay, so that Balabulu, was it an error?
Let them focus on issues. They should leave the character and personality of Bola Tinubu.
Can we get this clear now? So was that Balabulu, was it an error or was it intentional?
Well, even the devil does not know the intention of man. Does he?
You are a lawyer, so but you know they're saying that there've been many mistakes and many slips of tongue, and they've said,
that's what they concentrate on. We concentrate on
about the mental
points.
alertness of the man. They said it's a concern for them. Those are criticizing him.
Most of these people have never been together with Tinubu one-on-one in their life. They have never even seen him from afar, let alone seeing him closely. Bola Ahmed Tinubu's cognitive ability is super. That man does not belong to this generation or does not belong to this country. He belongs to the country of the civilized people. That man sees ahead of most of us who are younger.
Oh, okay. So Prince, I'm afraid we need to take a short break at this moment.
Yes, brother.
Yes. Prince,
my friend. Inside years, we take this country to the El Dorado. I promise you
Prince,
that.
Let's take a short break. We'll return. Let's just take this short break. We'll return and continue with this conversation. Thank you so much. You're on to Morning Spring. It's reaching you from Western Spring Television.
Western Spring Television, ours it is.
The British Empire was the largest and the most powerful in the world. At its zenith, the empire embraced a quarter of the Earth's land surface and imposed her imperial majesty's rule on more than 458 million peoples across nations and continents. The empire took off with overseas possessions and trading posts established by England, spread over 3 million kilometers between 16th and early 18th century. Like previous empires, the British Empire began to crumble on its weight of overstretched territories and growing unrest in our various colonies. Today, the British Empire no longer exists. What is in place is the Commonwealth of Nations, a loose association of sovereign states which recognize the King of England as the titular head. Western Spring Television identifies the British Empire as a watershed empire in history.
Èdè Yorùbá jẹ́ ọ̀kan lára àwọn èdè tí wọ́n ń sọ ní agbègbè Niger Congo. Èdè Yorùbá gbajúgbajà ní àwọn orílẹ̀-èdè tó ń bẹ ní ẹkùn ìwọ̀ oòrùn ilẹ̀ adúláwọ̀. Ó kéré tán, àwọn ènìyàn bíi mílíọ̀nù 14 ló ń sọ èdè Yorùbá lónìí. Ètò akọ́mọlédè ló ń dé sójú ìwòran yín láti iléeṣẹ́ móhùnmáwòrán WSTV ìkànnì 150 channel 190 lórí StarTimes. Folúṣọ́ Ayaolúwagbémiga, ìyá ìjọ pèdèpèdè, ìyá akọ́mọlédè ló kọ tèmi. Yorùbá dùn púpọ̀, Yorùbá ò lè kú, Yorùbá ò lè parun. Tiwa làṣà, tiwa lèdè, tiwa nìṣẹ̀ṣe akọ́mọlédè.
Bẹ́gùn ò bá jáde, mọ̀rìnwó la kọ́kọ́ rí, ọwọ́ gẹ́gẹ́ ní síwájú ìjó, ẹsẹ̀ katakata ní síwájú rìn, bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti ń gbúrò wa, a tún ti dé náà nù. Ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò Owambe Unlimited, pẹ̀lú èmi ọmọ yín, olólùfẹ́ yín, ọ̀rẹ́ yín, Suliat tẹ́túmọ̀ sí Morenikeji. Ẹ lè pè mí ní Susu, tó bá wẹ̀ lómi, a sọ pé ìyálòde àríyá, gbogbo orúkọ tẹ́ ẹ bá pè mí, kò sí èyí tí mi ò ní jẹ yín. Ẹ farabalẹ̀, kẹ́ ẹ máa gbádùn ètò Owambe Unlimited lórí ìkànnì Western Spring Television ní ìkànnì 190. Ibẹ̀ ni Owambe Unlimited ń bọ̀ wá, ẹ fàkùrẹ̀ tẹ̀dí, kẹ́ ẹ máa gbádùn ètò àríyá wa.
Wọ́n sọ fún yín pé ẹ máa wo Owambe Unlimited lórí Western Spring Television.
The name Adolf Hitler exudes a gale of bile from millions of people who were victims of his autocratic rule and love, from fanatical supporters of his imperial aggression. Born April 20, 1889, at a small Austrian town sandwiched between Austro-German frontier, Adolf Hitler spent most of his childhood in Linz, the capital of Upper Austria. As a very prominent stakeholder in the horrific events of conflicts in Europe, Adolf Hitler could simply go off as the sole mover of the Second World War. 40 million Jews were murdered in the gas chambers of various Nazi camps on the orders of Adolf Hitler. Thousands of Adolf Hitlers still live in Germany today, but the majority of them are elderly and were named before the end of the Second World War. As the name pales into vanishing rarity, 13 children, according to official records, were named Adolf Hitler between 2006 and 2013. Western Spring Television identifies Adolf Hitler as a major character in history.
Can you imagine the feeling when you get your news Thank you so much for staying with us on Morning Spring, Western Spring Television. Well, we'd like to thank Prince Ademola Idoko. I think he's back with us here now. We're trying to connect with him to join us. Okay, so just a couple of minutes before we let you go. you know, as regards issues about confusion about the age, the identity, the certificate of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That also came up yesterday with what some of his critics are saying. Though he also talked about it and saying he has even collected the original certificate at Chicago State University. You mind talking about all of this confusion and controversy about Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu? His critics say everything about him is controversial. His age, his name, his identity. How do you respond to that, Prince?
That question was thrown to his face yesterday by a female journalist that I suppose might be, and I thought may be a Nigerian. And he gave a very clear, cut answer. It's not one of those questions that he has since members of Entourage to handle. He handled it himself. When Asiwaju became the governor of Lagos State in 1999, he gave a date of birth, right? And nobody suspected then that he was too young or that he was too old to be that age as at that time. I don't know exactly how old he was in 1999 again. And that age he gave in 1999 is what he is still giving now, to be 70 now. If you didn't, in 1999, think he was too young or too old in 1999 for the age he gave, why do you think the age should have increased by now? Why do people think that way? That's one. Two, he gave a straight answer yesterday. Definitely all of us knew, or we know, that Asiwaju was a fugitive under military oppression, under Abacha dictatorship. We knew in Southeast where Professor Wole Soyinka attested to that. Dele Momodu attested to that most of them had their houses ransacked, destroyed. They were hunted to be killed. Some of them escaped disguised as women into neighboring countries before they took off. You must have listened to the experience of Dele Momodu. And if this person said, all my documents were vandalized, were taken away, were destroyed, or were lost to military operation or during my asylum seeking overseas, it should be believable. Now, he said all his documents with Chicago State University are intact. And you could hear Rino Omokri, who said he spent $4,000 to go and investigate Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Chicago State University. And he said he wasted his money. Upon saying that, who went there with photo evidence? Ahmed Rufai Oseni of Arise TV was still arguing, and they all were having family misunderstanding between Rufai and Rino Omokri. And Bola Ahmed Tinubu has come out and said, I've been able to recover a reissued original certificate from Chicago State University. And he said his records are there, if anybody doubts it. So those who are saying it's from Osun State, he said, I'm Tinubu, and I'm a Tinubu proper. If they had wanted a DNA, they could as well request for that. So they are just building mythology or fables around this man. And he's a focused man. He doesn't give them a here. He focuses on where he's going. He cleared the hair. His answers are very, very lucid. He didn't mince words. He said, I'm Tinubu and I'm Tinubu proper. The Yoruba would say, if his mother had migrated from Iraq to serve under a woman in Lagos and the Tinubu family got Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I don't know how true that is, but the demand dares them that anybody who wants to do DNA is welcome. So if they doubt is from Lagos, if they doubt his age, what they should have written is to write Chicago State University, give us his evidence of birth. What did he submit to you that you believe that he was born in March 1952? Because that is his document with Chicago State University. That is the document with which he contested that is the age with which he contested in 1999. And that is the age he is still giving now. So if you who are not his father, mother, sister, brother, think he's older than that or he's younger than that, best luck to those detractors. We have our eyes on the trophy, and that's the presidency area.
All right. Well, we'd like to thank you most sincerely, Prince Ademola Oyedokun, legal practitioner based in Abuja. And interestingly, Prince Oyedokun is also a prince from Ifon
just nearby us here in Osun State. It's good to talk to you on the program. We hope to get you again and again on Morning Spring.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. All right, so that's the conversation this morning. We'll take a break. I'll be stepping aside, but Emmanuel will return with what's trending. I'm sure you'll be taking us to the Chatham House.
Of course, we'll be going to the Chatham House. Two very interesting videos coming out from that event yesterday. I would like to see our viewers to see those videos and what people are saying about Tinubu's performance yesterday.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. That's the show, Morning Spring this morning. Femi Olanipeku is my name. Good morning.
Èdè Yorùbá jẹ́ ọ̀kan lára àwọn èdè tí wọ́n ń sọ ní agbègbè Niger Congo. Èdè Yorùbá gbajúgbajà ní àwọn orílẹ̀-èdè tó ń bẹ ní ẹkùn ìwọ̀ oòrùn ilẹ̀ adúláwọ̀. Ó kéré tán, àwọn ènìyàn bíi mílíọ̀nù 14 ló ń sọ èdè Yorùbá lónìí. Ètò akọ́mọlédè ló ń dé sójú ìwòran yín láti iléeṣẹ́ móhùnmáwòrán WSTV ìkànnì 150 channel 190 lórí StarTimes. Folúṣọ́ Ayaolúwagbémiga, ìyá ìjọ pèdèpèdè, ìyá akọ́mọlédè ló kọ tèmi. Yorùbá dùn púpọ̀, Yorùbá ò lè kú, Yorùbá ò lè parun. Tiwa làṣà, tiwa lèdè, tiwa nìṣẹ̀ṣe akọ́mọlédè.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West, and Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girls got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be shown on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
Here are 5 amazing fun facts I bet you never knew about Christianity.
Number 1, there are over 2.4 billion Christians worldwide.
Amazing fun fact number 2. The Bible is one of the best-selling books of all time, with more than 100 million copies sold every year.
Most Christians believe in heaven and hell.
The Bible
All right, good morning once again, and thank you for joining us on the Spring Trend segment of Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Do not forget to follow us on all our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Western Spring Television. But on Twitter, it is at WSTV_NG. You can also visit our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television, and do not forget to subscribe when you do just that. On Spring Trends this morning, we begin in the United Kingdom at Chatham House. Yesterday, presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was at Chatham House, and he was asked to, put answers to some questions that were given to him. And when he got to a particular segment, a particular part of the interview, this is what Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu did.
I will choose the first question, assign it to Dele Alake. Okay. And the second question, assign to Nasiru El-Rufai. And third question, assigned to Ben Ayade.
All right, Now, if you heard that video very clearly, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu gave out 3 questions to Dele Alake, Nasir El-Rufai, and Professor Ben Ayade. Now, this is what Nigerians have to say about that particular incident. We'll begin with D.H. Bwala. Daniel Bwala says, Chatham House show of shame. You want to be the president, but avoiding answering questions. Instead, you are redirecting the answers to El-Rufai, Alake, and co. Nigerians want to be governed by a person, not a robot, who cannot exercise independent thought in answering questions. The next comment comes from Sunday Ezechuku says, Tinubu demonstrated capacity, can do spirit, and an extraordinary team player ability. Watching him take on the questions and involving his team delights my spirit and restores my hope that Nigeria shall attain its destiny. But right under there, Michael Granger says, shut up. Which question did he take on? I'm just happy everyone is buying fuel and rice at the same price. And the next comment there is from Uncle Femi Jr., who says, Tinubu claimed he can solve Nigeria issues that are chronic than his health condition, can't answer some questions. This shows the level of his competency. He should be a local council chairman member, not even for a president. Bale would be better. Chatham House visitor, you can see what he said about him there. The next comment comes from Victor Israel, says Peter Obi sits with his team, they strategize and delegates duties while PO answers questions like a leader. That's teamwork. Tinubu went to Chatham House, asked El-Rufai and Ben Ayade to answer questions for him. That's not teamwork. You just told the whole world you are incompetent. And last comment on that particular point says, Michael Diani says, I feel ashamed about this interview at Chatham House. I think they shouldn't have let people ask questions to do a full cover-up. Delegating questions they're asking a wannabe president to your guys is one kind. I feel ashamed. I used to trust Tinubu no more. Now, immediately after that particular incident, some moments back into the interview at Chatham House, another incident happened. A reporter asked presidential candidate Tinubu why he has been avoiding media houses in Nigeria and why he has not been granting them interviews. This was Asiwaju Tinubu's response.
I see myself as a marketable individual. Want to use me to make money, and I'm saying no.
Well, you heard what he said there. He says that he has a marketable face and these media houses want to use him to make money. And that's why he refuses to grant their interviews. Now let's look at what people are saying. Adeola Fayeun says, Chatham House. Tinubu says journalists wants to use him to make money. That's why he doesn't grant interviews. This means if he becomes president, he will do the same thing, refusing to grant interviews about his actions and decisions. That's Adeola Fayeun. And then Objective Kenny, speaking to Nigerians, is now making money. So why is he making money for Chatham House? He doesn't want to make money for local Nigerian media companies, but he will make money for UK media company, Chatham House. You can see the emoji that that person puts there. Sunday O says, this is the most ludicrous answer I have ever heard from someone seeking to be elected. Who wants to make money off you? The electorate? I think the reverse has been the case. P.O. Love by Peter B says, how can a presidential candidate not be made money off, even if it's for negative things? Donald Trump was almost the worst president ever, but the media loves him because he gets people to watch the news, knowing Trump doesn't fail to do something crazy like daily. And the last comment on that story, Stanley Chacha says, that's Stainless Chacha says, that's all you heard from him to tweet about? Is that all he said in Chatham House meeting? Or you are being selective of the information that pleases you and your satirical blog as usual? Anyways, the market they sell. If you pick concrete issues, no one will buy your wares. Go on. Now from UK to Osun State, right here yesterday, Governor Ademola Adeleke ordered the expedited payment of salaries and says that any ministry, department or agencies that fail to submit its salary schedule latest today, that was yesterday, will be sanctioned. Any agency head who obstructs the process of scheduling will face disciplinary procedures. This warning is sequel to report and all of that. And the governor, presently, the payment of salaries is ongoing, starting with the Ministry of Justice. Now, we went to Facebook to see what people are saying about that statement. The first two comments there are from Biodun Adeyanju, says, good governance, we have said it severally, has nothing to do with party nomenclature, but the personality that is occupying the office. Political parties are just platforms to achieve personal ambition. Well done, His Excellency. And Talent Annie says, let the praises stop now. This is what happened to Abuari. We praised him at the beginning and things automatically change against us. Let him not be carried away. He has enough to offer. Following up on that is Manu Cyprian Sunday says it has always been visible to the blind and even very loud to the deaf that most times the head is not usually the problem, but the middlemen at the various helm of affairs in government. APC, PDP, LP, etc. isn't the outright answer to the problems, but the people around these leaders. The next comment we have there is from Ola Dekabim. Says, what's the noise? Oyetola never owes salary, and if you pay December salary on the 5th of December, they're going to suffer it in January. We have said it. This man is a novice when it comes to governance. And right under that, Fami Fatola says, some people don't even know we are talking about November salary and he met money in the account. The former governor has paid October salary. No infrastructure has been announced, no general employment, and more is expected from him. Scott Osas, still on the same issue of Adeleke paying salary, says, we don't know them. At first, now so them go run kata run kitty for the first 4 years, enough is gay. Now let's wait for the second term. Come to Benin for verification for what we are facing from Governor Obaseki now. And Savior Aniedi Obot said he is scared. 23 APC House of Assembly members, Osun Elder Statesman and Tribunal are showing him shaggy and woto. He's now quiet and focused, but the right owner of that throne is coming back very soon. And Edet Efiam underneath says Supreme Court governors. So without Supreme Court, APC cannot win election. Next comment there is John Ayabami also says, please sanction if they fail to do the right thing. Osun money not meant for ghost workers. Musa Abdullahi Angpa says that's how to discover ghost workers, but some ministries would like to truncate his effort. And Mohammed Bashir says it's just a political homicidal. Everything is in order. He just wants to make workers to suffer before he pays them. Mutiu Abdulaziz Muyiwa says that's how you politicians used to do. After stealing all the state and local government fund for 4 to 8 years, you still loot the state property. Okay, carry everything, go heaven. Now let's move over to Twitter. Kingsley Nokechukwu Okafor says nothing special. There shouldn't be noise about this. One of the reasons why he was elected. And Dembe Malik Chik says, and if he didn't do it, your type will be the best and first in making noise about it. Give praise where it is due. The last comment on that particular story, Adeleke paying salary payment, ordering salary payment, Ghost says, so why weren't they being paid before? The funds were readily available and they were withheld from the respective earners on purpose. Is it a yes to this question? Oloyoyo says, today is December 5. When was it inaugurated? Make it make sense now. And that's all we have for you on Spring Trends this morning. From the United Kingdom, Tinubu dodging questions and asking his aides to answer for him in the name of teamship, and also saying that he has a marketable face. He doesn't want people to make money off him. Down here to Osun State, where Adeleke has ordered payment of salaries. Many things are happening. Crazy things are happening. Things are happening all around the world, all around the country. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live and subscribe to our YouTube at Western Spring Television. My name is Emmanuel Ujadigele, EM Ujadigele on Twitter. I'll see you tomorrow.
Èdè Yorùbá jẹ́ ọ̀kan lára àwọn èdè tí wọ́n ń sọ ní agbègbè Niger Congo. Èdè Yorùbá gbajúgbajà ní àwọn orílẹ̀-èdè tó ń bẹ ní ẹkùn ìwọ̀ oòrùn ilẹ̀ adúláwọ̀.